Hello and welcome to another edition of Video Games to the Max. I am your host, Sean Garmer, and here with me as always, Mr. Mark Morrison.
Howdy.
Well, we were supposed to take a break after the spoiler cast to have like that week. Then you went to the hospital again.
Yep,
Uh,
it's the cool
yeah,
place to go.
yeah. You think you're gonna be like done with the hospital now, or
God, no. I
oh
mean, for now,
no?
I'm okay, but we'll see what happens in the future.
Ah, that sucks to
Basic,
hear.
basically, I developed on the leg they operated on, I developed a blood clot. Uh, so I was worrying, and they're slowly breaking it apart. I had a problem like this like 10 years ago or 12 years ago in my good leg. And when it happened then, they just did surgery and removed it, which fixed me up damn near instantly. But now this one they're taking like they're no surgery, and it's like, oh, just take these two pills every day, and it'll eventually go down after 3 months. It's like, yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, that's definitely interesting that they've had to work on that so much, and then so they can't figure out like what it is. Just
No, it's a blood clot in my thigh. Uh, probably from like inaction. I mean, it was also in a cast. That was the problem. Is like
right.
this cast was like squeezing the bottom part of my leg greatly. So the blood just built up in my thigh, and then I mean,
Oh,
it's getting better now, but it still feels all fucked up, and my knee hurts a lot. Like,
s-
and my skin became like incredibly taut and hard.
oh,
Like it's like if you press into your thigh, you can press into a thigh, or you should be able to.
right.
My bad leg was like hard as a rock, like you couldn't press into it, and I was like, that's slightly worrying.
Yes,
uh,
but isn't that like also where you had the cancer?
no, that was my
Mm.
ankle.
Oh, okay.
So yeah,
Uh
this is above that, but yeah, still not fun.
yeah. I'm sorry. After all that, to
Yeah,
have to
and now
go
like
back
the leg,
again.
well, now the ankle thing is kind of on hold. Like I'm just wearing this like boot thing, which is uncomfortable as well. But he doesn't want to put me back in a cast because it could, uh, cause another blood clot. So it's like, well, what am I supposed to do? And he was like, well,
Right.
keep doing what you're doing. It's like that's okay. Like that's not super helpful, but
Yeah. Sucks again. But hopefully things can get better for you.
yeah.
Um
Don't worry, I'm
we
continuing to buy dumb shit, so that helps.
well, we'll talk about that. To some people that might be what you just described. To others, it might be an awesome part of adding to your collection. So, I have been playing some games. Mark finished Diablo 4,
Again,
so he'll give final thoughts on that, and then, well, I guess the main part. You always have the seasonal stuff, whatever.
yeah.
And I've played and finished Venba, so I get to talk about that, which I really loved. And then you get I played some Daymare 1994, which comes out like next week. Wrestlequest, which comes out tomorrow for you guys, and yeah, some other stuff as well. Xbox 360 store is going down, and we'll have plenty of other things to talk about right after this.
You are listening to Video Games to the Max.
Hey, well, let's go ahead and get this out of the way, so we can pay some bills here. Just to remind you, in case this is your first time listening or your 100th time listening, we do appreciate you. If you do end up enjoying the episode, you can always like, subscribe, follow the entire W2 Network on YouTube, and you can go check out everything else that is going on. So like, two of the main shows were already being recorded today, so you could go check out the News Talk to Keiki episode, which is our anime podcast. The Radisher Broadcasting folks did their Damn You Hollywood reviewing Blue Beetle. So if you haven't watched that movie and you kind of wanted some thoughts on it, you can get their thoughts, and they do a pretty great review of every movie they do. So definitely, you're going to get every kind of every part of it covered. Now, if you haven't seen the movie, there might be parts of it where you kind of want to turn it off, go watch the movie, and come back if you're interested. That's a movie I've been interested as well, between that and the Ninja Turtles. So I think next week, yeah, go ahead.
Go see Turtles.
Well, next week or on Tuesdays, my theater does the $5 tickets. So I think next Tuesday I might just go see a double feature or something like that.
It's funny because the theaters by me, that's every day.
Oh, well, that's nice. But this theater is new. They have all this fancy stuff and bowling and games and whatnot, and they want to make money, so they definitely cannot do that.
Right.
It'd be nice if they had the RDX thing there too, so I wouldn't have to go all the way to Miami when there's a movie to watch in that. But that's like a every now and then thing. It's not every movie. It's basically your action movies you watch in that. So, but yeah, let's, I guess, go ahead and start where we usually always do, which is the games we've been playing. You have said a lot about Diablo 4. Other people have come on here and talked a lot about Diablo 4.
I mean, I finished it like a month ago on my own, but now I finished it with the ends. We really powered through it a few nights ago, or over this past week, really. He hates it.
Oh, well, that's encouraging.
Yeah. They introduced a bad guy like in Act 4 who completely dominates the game for like 2 acts, and it's terrible. I mean, he's introduced even earlier than that, but it's just awful. He hates the world boss system because it's on a timer, like a 6-hour timer. And he's like, well, how dare they make me play the game at 7 p.m.? I got other important shit to do. And it's like, well, you get 4 times to do it per day, and you get 7 days. So it's not that hard, but he's like, oh, it doesn't respect my time and all this other dumb shit. I mean, we did the world boss. We did it twice, like 2 days ago. We died the first time because we just didn't have enough people, and we had like one like level 17 guy. It's like, what the fuck is this guy doing here? And then we did it successfully the second time, and then after we did it, he's like, all right, I'm going to bed. And then like 5 minutes later, he messaged me and he's like, oh, I just deleted the game. Like, I'm done with it. So that'll be his game of the year. I don't know. I still enjoy the game, but it's repetitive as hell. I'm not playing any seasonal character because I don't do that. It's for me, it's just simple, like so simplistic or so mind numbing, or I can just shut my brain off. And I mean, I was playing it earlier, watching Finding Forrester on Blu-ray. So
you were telling me before we started that his main thing is he doesn't like that it's kind of MMO sort of based.
Well, that's like the world boss system. Like he was, because I was like, it's at 7 p.m. and 1 a.m. and then like 7 p.m. and 1 p.m. Basically, that's when a world boss pops up. Yeah, then he was like, oh, how dare they, how dare a game dictate, my schedule to me, and it's like, that's how every MMO is ever, And he was talking about, like, he played, I think, the Old Republic, which is an MMO technically, but it's so single player focused to an extent. I mean, it has like high end raids and shit, but that's like for high end players. And I think he said he played a little Star Trek Online, but not a ton. But he's never played WoW, and he never will. And that's all WoW is get your ass on at 7 p.m. and start raiding. If there are 24 people or however many get on, So,
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's how Final Fantasy 14 is also, I assume.
Well, yes.
Maybe not to the extent WoW
Well,
is, but I mean,
14 has a lot of stuff you can do solo.
yeah. I mean, so does
Yeah.
WoW technically, but I mean, just like, I'm sure there's some sort of world bosses in Final Fantasy 14 that are like, okay, this thing spawns at 8 p.m. If you want to face it, get on then.
Yeah.
So he's never played an MMO. He never will. And yeah, he vastly disliked the game. And I still think it's, reasonably okay. But I think for both of us, well, at least for me, I was kind of expecting it. Well, I was hoping it'd be like my game of the year, or like way up there. And it may make a top 10 list for me, but it'll be like number 10 or 9.
Right. It seems like it's something that a lot of people loved when they first came out. When it first came out, played it to the end.
Yeah, and then you burn through the content, and then you just see how repetitive the end game is. It's like, okay, you can
Right.
do these like 4 things, and that's it. And it's like the only goal, I guess, is to get to like level 100 and to beat like the
Yeah,
real world boss, or the real boss, Uber Lilith. And
but that seems like you're really having to do a lot to do that.
yeah, and also
Yeah.
like in past Diablo games, it's like, okay, you get new gear every few levels. Like, because I'm with my other character, really, I haven't gotten like new gear in a while. Like, I'm still using the same weapon I've had from 8 levels ago, simply because I never find anything new. And it's like, this isn't fun, like,
Yeah.
all I'm doing is like selling or vendor trashing all my gear or all the stuff I get in dungeons, because like, this is all worthless to me. I mean, I might find like a new pair of gloves that's like, oh, this is 8% better than what I'm wearing. It's like, wow, what a big difference.
Right.
Also, I mean, I agree with this. Also, he hates the leveling system in the game. Like the everything scales to your level,
Mm-hmm.
and that's bad
Yeah,
because
because you never feel overpowered at one point,
yeah,
right?
that's exactly
Yeah.
it. Like, I mean, the start of the game, if you go back to that area later on, I was like, okay, everything's level 50 now. It's like, what? It was really funny. There are 2 dungeons in the game that do have a set difficulty. So
Yeah.
I ran him through one of them. I ran him to the level 51 with my level 78 character, and I'm decimating everything. It's like one-shotting
That's
almost,
exactly what you want,
yeah,
right?
almost everything. Except for like a few bosses, took like maybe like 2 or 3 hits, but it's like, who cares? And he was like, yeah, this is how, yeah, exactly. He's like, oh, this is how the game should be. Or it's like, maybe not to this extent,
They
but
should have
yeah,
made that optional. Like they
right.
should have made that like something that you could, if you wanted to have that, or something you could put in for a second when you do a second playthrough or something like that. But the
Yeah,
first playthrough
I mean,
should be, yeah,
yeah, and you get like the hardcore option, or it's like, okay, I want to turn like level scaling on or off. The problem if it's off is, you have to design, okay, now this area has to be like level 1 to 10. This area, this other area has to be like level 11 to 20. You really do have to like section out the world, but that's fine. You know, I don't mind that, really. I mean,
yeah,
that really is how WoW used to be. Now WoW is all level scaling as well. Like, you can do anything you want in WoW. But back in the day, it's Elwyn Forest is level 1 to 10, and Westfall was like 11 to 20.
right.
I mean, I get the mentality. I guess it's like, oh, we want to give you player choice, or we want to have if you want whatever you want to wherever you want to go, you can do it. But it's like, I prefer a more guided experience, because I don't feel powerful at all.
That's just weird because like most RPGs, that's kind of how you want to feel. You want to feel like you're level 78. You want to
Yeah,
feel like you earn that ability to be up there when you go to those, especially in places where you are having to backtrack or something
right.
like that. It's yeah,
I mean, yeah,
it seems weird that they level scaled everything, or at least didn't give you the option to not have that on if you didn't want to. Or
Well, it's funny because Assassin's Creed Valhalla did basically the same thing, where initially the game wasn't level scaling, but then they introduced it like later on. It's like, what? Like, why'd you do that? You
like
know?
that's a kind of hard time to be putting that in right now.
Yeah. But I don't know. I still like Diablo 4 well enough, and I will eventually grind out to a level 100 character. But once that happens, and then once I beat Uber Lilith, that'll be it for a while until they release actual DLC. And it's funny because we killed Lilith, and the ending cinematic is like she literally turns into a statue and crumbles, and he thinks like she's gonna come back, and it's like, no, because
I think they pretty much tell you definitively there.
Well, the other expansions, it's like, like Diablo 3, it's like, oh, the end of Diablo 3, you killed Diablo, but like he doesn't come back for the expansion. It's a new bad guy, and the same thing happens in Diablo 2, you know. So I think her story's done, you know.
Exactly, yeah.
Aside from that, I bought a copy of Valkyrie Profile for the PS1.
Really good game there.
That's a expensive game. It's like $270.
Yeesh.
Which is actually like not a bad deal. It's normally $300, and the copy I got is in like really good condition. So I was happy about that. I'm on track this week to hope I'm going to trade in a bunch of stuff for this because it's way out there. But I'm going to try to buy a copy of a game called Kuon.
Okay.
Ever heard of it?
No.
It's a PS2 game made by From Software. And the minute I said that, like Jens's ears perked up. He was like, "What the hell is this?"
Is that From Software?
Pretty much, yeah.
No way.
I mean, it's not a great game. It has like pretty middling scores, but it's like a period specific survival horror game in like Japan's, you know, ancient or some ancient period in Japan. The thing retails nowadays for over like $800.
Wow.
Yeah. The copy I'm getting is priced at $700. And I'll have a coupon or a few discounts, and like I'm trading in like a TurboGrafx for it and some other shit I don't need.
Yeah.
So that'll be cool. I mean, if you want to talk about your games real quick, go ahead. But we should talk about that Twisted Metal show.
Well, I've only watched I think like 3 or 4 episodes. I still need to catch up to the rest of it.
Okay.
It is apparently one of Peacock's highest rated shows. So enough people are liking
that's not
it.
Hugely surprising because it's one of Peacock's only shows that has actual named actors in it.
I mean, I like the 4 episodes I've watched. I mean, it's
okay. It's not a bad show. It is a profoundly weird show because they introduced all this like weird bootleg ass like history into Twisted Metal that like is not there at all in the games, and like the entire. I mean, this is I guess the spoiler to the show. It is all basically a preamble to the actual Twisted Metal tournament, and it's like, why didn't you just film that? It reminds me. It's not as bad as I didn't think it was bad actually, but it reminds me of that Halo TV show where it's all like a prequel to them getting on fucking Halo, and it's like, yeah, I don't need the backstory of John. It's funny that John is the main name of the main character in both games or both TV shows rather. And Anthony Mackie and the girl Stephanie Beatrice, yeah, they do good work, or they're fine.
I laughed quite a few times. I think Anthony Mackie's really good in his role. Yeah,
I don't think he's quite cast well in this. Like I guess I view him more in like the Falcon role or like the Adjustment Bureau, where he's more of like a smarter guy. Like in this, the character's pretty dumb. And like it's
I
not
feel like
bad.
that's the point. It's like
Yeah,
he's supposed to be kind of, a dimwit or whatever, but
yeah.
he's yeah.
Well, I mean, it's very much in like the Ryan Reynolds or Chris Pratt mold,
Yeah.
but they couldn't get those guys, so it's not bad. And hey, I'll watch the next season, and there actually is some really good act. There's a really good, I think it's like episode 7 or 8. There's a really good guest appearance by Chloe Fineman from SNL in it. But like the show itself is just incredibly strange. Not bad, and I have positive thoughts, I guess, but it's just weird. But
Yeah.
speaking of positive stuff, how's Wrestlequest treating you?
You would pick the one that's maybe not so positive, or what? I mean, one of them I'm going to be super positive on. The other one, I need to play more of it. And then the other one, so okay. Look, Wrestlequest, I think, to me, I feel about Wrestlequest sort of the same way I feel about One Piece Odyssey, in that they do a great job of building up everything. Like building up the world, building up the character. I love the character that you play, the main character's the Randy Santos or whatever.
Yeah,
Not so much like some of the other ones that you play as later. Being set in like basically like Legendsville in of wrestling of the 80s and 90s, which is what I grew up on and love all those wrestlers from back then. Not that I don't the wrestling today is fine. Just nostalgia, right?
yeah,
Um the problem is that, like One Piece, if you strip the One Piece part of it off, you have a really generic RPG behind it. And it's actually interesting at first, like, oh wow, wrestling and an RPG, they actually made this work. It's cool. And then you realize that it's the same thing over and over and over and over, and nothing ever really changes other than, okay, I get other characters and I get to upgrade my moves. And yeah, you can say that all turn-based RPGs are kind of like that. But the thing is that they add on different gameplay components
yeah,
usually. The enemies get much harder, make you have to be strategic. There's really not that here. That's the problem. Is the strategy is pretty much the same regardless of who you're fighting. They try to add in little things like, the WWE games where they have the, oh, you got to do this, you got to do this before you finish the match. Okay, that just basically makes the match last longer. It doesn't really make you want to do those things. And while I appreciate that they are trying to sort of also, hey, we know wrestling's fake. We're not going to try to make it feel like we don't know. We do. We make jokes about the fact that wrestling is what it is. We make a big deal. They use insider language. There's a whole quest about the guy doesn't know which face paint to wear, because I'm trying to use early stuff so I don't spoil it for people that are really
right.
excited. And also, again, you can play this for free on Netflix if you have a Netflix account. So you don't have to go out and buy this if you don't want to. And we'll talk about what Netflix is doing, which makes it even cooler that you might be able to play this on something that's not your phone pretty soon. But anyway, yeah, it like for me, it feels like they really got the part that everybody wanted, but then forgot that the gameplay needs to evolve.
Yeah,
And then that's what the problem is. This is a video game at the end of the day. And no amount of how much I love wrestling from back then is not going to have me remember that I've got to play through this, especially if you're reviewing it, right? So that's the problem.
It's a matter. It's
Yeah.
a problem of like, oh, you're doing the same thing at hour 1 as hour 50. You know.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and then the thing is, like, again, the world's compelling. There is some cool little story bits here, like the cameo stuff from certain characters and having characters show up. Like, there's obviously love for old school wrestling in here, and I
Yeah.
appreciate that. But not everybody's going to. Okay, for one, I think anybody that's playing this game definitely has to have some kind of appreciation for wrestling from back then. Because I don't understand why you'd be playing this game if you don't. I don't think that this is something that you're going to get your GQ wrestling fan to really kind of check this out. Outside of like knowing some of the wrestlers that are on the cover or finding out that a certain wrestler is in the game. So I don't think even AEW or Fire Pro or any of these other or WWE games have anything to worry about here.
Right.
But
Yeah.
yeah, it's just it sucks because I really wanted this to be like I was hoping this is going to be one of those standout indie games, and it wound up like kind of not being that. And for the premise that it has, like what a perfect marriage, right? Two things that I love and a lot of people love, and then it helps that Greg Miller was doing his thing with Jeff Jarrett, trying to hype it up and everything, and
Yeah, I said Jeff Jarrett was also on the Giant Bombcast or like the email show of that. And it's like what?
yeah. They tried a lot of things, and I appreciate that. Again, like they tried to do some wrestling angle stuff
Yeah.
to get people into it, and maybe it'll work. I don't know how many people have. There's a lot of wish lists for this game. Unfortunately, also the thing that sucks as well for them is that embargo was supposed to be the day before the original release date, and they didn't email anybody and say, hey, embargo's been moved up. Technically, you could start releasing your review right then if you wanted to. I think most people kind of waited a week from what I'm seeing to release their review, but still, it sucks. It sucks when this kind of thing happens. Again, it's not a bad game by any means. It's just a very one note game, and you're eventually going to get tired of the game and kind of just be like, okay, here we go, let's do this.
Back to Diablo 4. No, I'm kidding.
No, and that's the thing too, is just like there's not enough moves, right? That's the thing too, is like wrestling games nowadays, you have moves up the wazoo to do. There's always something. Eventually you get into a flow. In every wrestling game, you end up using a lot of the same moves, and yes, the match is gonna feel repetitive or whatever. But there's also the aspect of okay, the AI is fighting against you, right? And it's real time, and it's the thing with it being turn based is that's the one thing that makes it difficult about being turn based. Is okay, I know what I got to do. You never really feel in danger. Also, like I never felt like I'm gonna die. My meter's gonna go all the way down, like because you know what to do to make sure that the meter doesn't go down. It's not like in the AEW game where the AI is gonna make it to where you don't really get a choice as to whether your meter's gonna go down or not, because they're gonna slam you. There's gonna become a point where you're not gonna be able to block one of their attacks or whatever. So it's like I said, it's something I really wanted to like. And unfortunately, I do like it, just don't like it enough.
Yeah.
And I think that seems to be the sentiment of most people that review the game. I'm sure that when the game drops in a few hours, unlocks for people, there's going to be people that are going to be like, oh my God, I don't know what those reviewers are talking about. They're just talking BS. Just wait, folks. Just wait. You tell me when you get to the end of the game, you loved it from the minute one to the minute of the end and never felt any of that, because I'm here to tell you that I don't know. I don't know what you're feeling there.
Yeah.
But hey, each stone. That's what's cool about opinions and games and stuff. You can all like and dislike things.
Sure.
So a game that I absolutely loved, and it's great because you don't have to spend a long time playing it because it's very, very short. It's literally an hour and a half. Not kidding. It's literally an hour and a half. It's a wonderful little story of a family, a husband and wife that moved to Canada in the 80s from India, and they wind up, finding out that the moment that they're going to try to, oh, we might go back, they find out that they're pregnant. So they wind up staying because they think that Canada is a better place than the US, going back to India to raise their kid. And man, they struggle. Like the dad can't find a job. He's a writer. He can't find a job, a job that he winds up having to take a job that he doesn't want in order to just be able to, care about his family. The mom is struggling as well. And they're just doing what they can for their kid. And it's something that I could totally relate to. And I think anybody that has kids uh, or grew up like that can
So
totally
wait,
relate to. Yeah.
this is the plot to Final Fantasy 16, right?
No. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what we're trying to get at.
Yeah.
It's, but no, like I really just it helped. It identified a lot with it as well because I grew up. A part of the I'm trying not to spoil the story, but a part of like a theme of the story is that the son rejects the as a growing up, he rejects the Indian stuff. They try to raise him, to learn the language, to learn about the food, to learn to cook the food, all that stuff. And he rejects it because in Canada nobody knows any of that, right?
Yeah.
And in Texas where I grew up, nobody really knew Venezuelan stuff either, right? You're everybody that speaks Spanish is Mexican automatically. Now today might be a little bit different. You have all kinds of different Latino people that have come to live in Texas since then. All that it maybe you don't have that sort of feeling, but back then and even later as an adult until I moved here and saw the difference. Right, we're talking about Miami, the Latin capital of the whole entire United States. I embraced my culture more when I came here, and wanted to like learn about other Latin cultures and stuff like that. Whereas over there in Texas, I kind of rejected that because I didn't feel like I was fitting in, and I wanted to just be, oh, here I'm the white kid, right? Like, uh, you know,
Yeah.
so it wasn't until basically being an adult where I had to really use the Spanish to get jobs and things like that that I appreciated that. But it's so like again, it's like various things that made me feel a connection to this game. So and I feel like they actually delivered in that. The story delivers for us how short it is. Obviously I didn't have to buy it because it's on Game Pass. So if you have Game Pass, you can just go check it out there. I think it's only like $10 anyway. So I know some people might say like an hour and a half game or whatever is not worth $10. I would beg to differ, depending on the connection you have, and also the food, the cooking stuff. Listen, you're not going to fail the cooking. It automatically fails you. You don't fail. It just makes you go back to the beginning and do it again until you get it right. So it's not like uh and the hints aren't totally like sometimes self-explanatory. You kind of do have to like look you kind of do have to like pay attention to what it's trying to tell you.
Yeah.
And I did appreciate that. Like it did feel like little puzzles that you're doing. But when you figured it out, it was cool because you got to see the whole meal and how it's made. And now I kind of want to go eat Indian food. I don't know if they make a difference between any Indian food that's around here where I live, whether it's South Indian, which is what the game is based off of, compared to other parts of India. So, but either way, the food that was being made on that in that game looks great. So that's very big props to them on that as well, the developers. So yeah, a total thumbs up for me on Venba. I think everybody should go give it a try if you like narrative games. It's definitely one to check out. It does have some branching stuff. I don't know if that makes a big difference or not. But yeah, it has some touching moments and some cool things. Cool ending and all that stuff too.
Cool.
Daymare 1994 is actually, I think, a prequel to the Daymare 1998 game, which I forgot existed until I was researching stuff for this game. I think it doesn't come out until August 30th, so I won't talk too much about it. But it's essentially, if you didn't play the first game or have no idea the first game existed, but this one kind of got a bigger hype because it's been part of various like indie shows and stuff like that. It's essentially like think about if you had a PS1 sort of Resident Evil inspired game.
Yeah.
So basically, your main character is a female. I guess more like not Jill, the other one, Claire, but without the red hair. And instead of stars, it's Hades.
And she's wearing she's wearing some dumb backpack
with the HADES all separated.
Yeah.
The jackets kind of look similar. The zombie characters, when you finally fight them, they have a little bit of a different kind of premise to them than the stuff in Resident Evil, but still your basic, it's zombies. So
right,
shotgun, hit him in the head. Similar inventory system. At least from the part I played, it feels more like it's going to be more like now I don't know if 98 was supposed to be more like Resident Evil 2. And maybe 94 is supposed to be taking more from Resident Evil 4. Like right now, it doesn't feel like you're gonna run out of weapons. Every time that I needed to have a shotgun, I found a shotgun ammo. The machine gun, it feels like it doesn't serve much of a purpose, to be honest. It's kind of a nuisance.
Like every machine gun, really, in those games.
It like the shotgun just either kills them in one hit or kills them in two hits, depending on where you hit them. Whereas the machine gun, it's like I'm blowing 10 bullets and they're still coming at me,
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, this is kind of a waste of a weapon, whatever, but I still enjoyed it. It's a lot of the premise of those games. So I have a friend that she really likes those games, and obviously Randy as well, friend of the show, was on the spoiler cast. He is a huge fan of those games as well, so he was already kind of talking to me about like it was a game that he was kind of interested in. So I was like, oh, let me go play. Let me, somebody offered a code, and I was like, sure, let's check it out. So yeah, the game comes out next week. So next week Wednesday. So by the time we do the show again, it still won't be out, but it's coming out at the end of the month. Not that we don't have a bunch of different games to play pretty soon, and especially the everybody that's been enjoying Baldur's Gate 3 on PC is going to be playing not only Baldur's Gate 3 on your consoles, but of course Starfield as well. So we're going to be blown out with games with RPGs pretty soon here.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's it for Me on games, I play a little bit more Final Fantasy mode in Final Fantasy 16. Still enjoying that. Still, I think that it's the better way to play Final Fantasy 16 if you want to give a second run of it a try. But at least it's more fun, more challenge. Anyway, but still, so I guess we should go ahead. Before we get to the 360 store stuff, did you see that that Xbox? I don't know why it took them this long to come out with this. I don't know. I think I need to find one that's like for a game that I actually want. Maybe then I will be will perhaps think about it. But did you see that they came out with these wraps that go around the Series X?
Yeah,
Kind of
it
like,
kind of
yeah.
look bad, right? Because it looks like you're
The
like it looks like
Starfield
you're,
one looks cool. The camo ones look like something I could have bought at the. I don't know. I gotta actually see it, but from the pictures, the camo ones don't look decent.
I mean,
Look interesting to me. Yeah.
it looks like they're trying to copy like the PS5, that's the faceplate stuff, or
Yeah. Exactly.
but they didn't have that in mind when they built the system. So now it just kind of looks like some weird, like
Yeah. It's
condom or
like
some.
you want to buy like a wrapper to go around your Series X. It's
Yeah,
not really even a cover. It's just like a thing that you can put around it. Oh, and it costs like $50 if you buy the Starfield one, and like 45 if you buy the other ones. Like if they ever, I don't know, have
I
to
mean,
come out with a, yeah,
I would rather have just a new console, or like the special edition consoles they occasionally do.
they did one for Diablo. I wasn't too
Well,
sold on it. Yeah.
if they do it well, that's
Well, but
I
that's the
guess.
thing. Like even Sony's not doing that, right? They're doing the faceplates. The
Yeah,
Final
but at
Fantasy
least like
16 had a controller and the faceplate. That was it.
here's the thing though. At least
Yeah.
with that, I mean, you could buy a new PS5 with Spider-Man 2 and crap like that, or you can just buy the thing that makes it special and do it up yourself. Like I would say that faceplates, or the console plates rather, are more have a better value than this stupid candy wrapper thing.
Yeah, it's just like when they come out with more that are designed around a game, like the Starfield one, I, I think it'll look better, but
Yeah,
they still don't look uh you know, it's kind of like the same thing as the 360 like plates that you could put on.
yeah, the faceplate.
Yeah. Like it's just the thing. It
But at
doesn't.
least
Yeah.
at least those were only $20, or cheaper if you want, if you waited a
Right.
while. Like,
Whereas like the PS5 ones kind of they look cooler. Right? They
yeah,
look like that could be your system. Right? Whereas I'm looking at a picture and I can tell that that's a wrap.
yeah. I
I
mean,
can
even
tell that that's not part of the system.
yeah,
And yeah, I don't know.
it's
Just
like all those like weird custom consoles. If you're ever digging around like Facebook Marketplace,
yeah.
like, oh, this is a Pokemon themed Game Boy Advance SP, or stuff like that. It's like, okay,
Yeah, I mean, they do promise a precision fit, which it does look like it fits around the console really well. It has like a silicone stuff inside of it to kind of to keep it on there. Uh, so I don't know. I'd have to actually like touch it to see if the it feels like it's a $50 product or whatever. But this is not going to be for everybody,
right,
obviously. This is for people that really want to have that customization. For me, my consoles are behind my TV, so it makes no sense at all for me to buy that because you're never going to see it anyway.
yeah,
So, but for people that have them all out and have them decked out and stuff like that, and they have the cool like setup for people to see them, I
right,
think it's decent. Whatever. It's good to have customization stuff. Not bad mouthing it. It just it looks there's better things.
yeah,
Um, but unfortunately, there's not anything that can really, you can't put a positive spin on an entire digital store going down for a console. And much like the Wii U and 3DS and the PS3, PSP, and Vita, which Sony hasn't definitely put that off. Or did they say that the
PS3 is still open, or they reverse that because it's such a big backlog.
Right, the PS3 is still open, but didn't they say that the one of the either the Vita or the PSP still had a date?
I think the PSP one, because you have to imagine that's the older of the two. So
right. So now Microsoft has finally come out, which is weird because they're the ones that always talk about backwards compatibility is great and everything else, and they are always pushing that. That July 29, 2024, that's it. You won't be able to buy any more games or DLC or digital games from the 360 store. Now, this is what, 11 months away at this point, sort of?
Yeah.
You have plenty of time if you want to go search through the non-backwards compatible. This is the thing. It's non-backwards. So this isn't like the PS3 where that stuff's stream only on the console, on the PS5, and you can't play it on your PS4 at all. The Xbox One and Xbox Series does have backwards compatible original Xbox and 360 games. Not all of them. And they also have a lot of them that you can just buy digitally on the store as well. So you're not losing everything like you did for the Wii U and the 3DS or the PS3. Everything that's digital on that store, you're losing. And so the thing you're losing is basically the Xbox Live Arcade stuff that's not backwards compatible or has not been re-released.
Yeah.
I'm
looking at a list. There's like 200 games, like a little over
it's 220
games.
Yeah. And it sucks, right? Like you never want to. Video game preservation sucks. We know this. I don't know if there's ever going to be an initiative from everyone to try to preserve that when you can do remasters and remakes and make a bunch of money, and that's part of the problem too.
Yeah, I'm sure they're really going to do a remaster of Deep Black Episode 1.
Yeah, I'm I'm sure they're not. But like, do you have any memories of the 360?
Oh, sure. I mean, yeah, even on this list, there are games that are, that are really good. That would be nice to have forward or keep forward. But like a lot of these games also, they're on other consoles or like, at least on Steam. Like Brothers or Bastion or.
Well, Brothers is on, I think, the PS4, Xbox, all that stuff.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Or like Gianna Sisters Twisted Dreams, or like Life is Strange. I mean, they got a physical release, I guess, but I mean, there's a lot of stuff that will be missed, but I don't know, like, how much of this stuff are people really going to get up in arms about?
Yeah, no, I get you. I think it's more about the whole, again, like preservation, right? Of just sucks that, say you had a game that maybe was on this list and therefore you either have to keep it in, you have to keep the 360 around,
right?
Or that you may have a problem if it ever comes off your system, which the 360 has a bad. A lot of 360s have the problem of memory loss, and you'll turn it on one time. At least I do. I don't know about other people, but I have the 360 like Elite, though, not the one that red ringed or whatever.
Yeah,
and I bought mine used, but I do remember this being a problem. I do remember being a problem of you'll turn your system on, and then it'll automatically be wiped. It'll work great for like 5 months, and then you can wake up the next day when you use it, and then you have nothing. You have nothing on there. So
I mean, I
yeah.
haven't had my 360 on in a while. I mean, literally years. But I never had a problem with that, and I had the Elite also.
Well, but I'm just saying, like, it's an issue because it wasn't just me. It seems to be an issue with certain 360 ones.
I guess
Yeah.
the slight benefit of this thing, or like the not entirely doom and gloom yet, is like, okay, you can't buy stuff, but if you still, if it's still tied to your account, you can re-download it. Like,
Right.
I think that was a problem. I think when Sony was trying to take off the PS3 one, they're like, no, everything's going away, and people were pissed.
No, I think they said the thing was that they kind of
Or
put a definitive end to, eventually, just like kind of like Nintendo with the Wii U.
yeah,
Eventually you won't be able to download your games. Eventually it will get to the point where if you delete something, you may not be able to get it back. So that's where people got mad because it's like, well, but I own this game. Like, how are you telling me that, I
I mean,
don't now?
people
Yeah.
buy digital movies and they get yanked off their accounts when the rights go away. I mean, it's the
No,
same
you're right
thing.
about that. I mean,
The benefit. I mean, the thing is like, it ain't hard to hack an Xbox 360 anymore, and PS3 is even like way easier. So, and there are plenty of like file sharing sites, or sites that have probably every Xbox Live Arcade game on it. So go at it. Like, it sucks that you won't be able to do this officially, but piracy will find a way, and if they don't want to preserve it, other people will.
yeah, no, that's definitely will. That's
I mean,
again like
I think it sucks that, like, at least for the 360 specifically, they never got off that stupid hard drive uh form factor. I mean, I know you can use like an external one, but I mean, like, for that internal thing, so you can only have a certain drive of, like, I think it's like 250 gigabytes or maybe 320, but that's it. And it's like, yo, there are terabyte drives, and this enclosure you guys made is universal. Like, what the fuck?
yeah, I had the 121.
I had the
Right, yeah.
121, and then I upgraded it.
Mhm.
I busted that thing apart eventually, and I did the 251. But it's like, okay, that's cool, but that's still not a ton of space. I mean,
Right. For me, the 360 was
I
my
mean,
Rock Band machine.
yeah.
So I absolutely adored that thing.
They still got the Xbox Live, the Xbox Series X, or the
Well, yeah, all that stuff is on the Series X. I'm not worried about like that not being there.
right. No,
I'm just saying,
you're talking
yeah,
about memories, and
yeah. Like for me, the 360 is my college system. I will always have fond memories of that system.
sure.
Playing Halo.
I mean, it is the end of an era, because like
Yeah,
I never really did much
it's
with,
an
like,
end of that entire generation, really,
yeah.
because they were the first systems to have digital stores with digital games that well,
Or like,
not the first, but
well,
like a
the first that was like
majority.
built in, because like the
Right.
original Xbox had that, but it was a weird
We're
add-on
like,
that.
oh, PSN. There's games that are only on PSN. There's games that are only on Xbox Live. There's games that are only on the Wii U shop, the 3DS shop. Like
Yeah,
that, a whole generation that is just gonna be gone of games that, unless you go on your PC and try to find them, emulate them, or whatever, that's it. You won't be able to buy them in a store.
right.
So
I
yeah,
think digital preservation is important, or game preservation rather, but I wonder how important it is to, like, people younger than us. Like, you have how old your daughter's, like 12 or 13.
right.
Like, could you imagine, here's Super Mario Brothers 3 for the NES. go play it. Or here's Final Fantasy VII for the PS1. Good luck. Like,
Oh,
who's
Final
gonna?
Fantasy 7, I think is different.
I
Like,
don't. Have you played that
because you have
recently?
remakes, so that makes
No,
people
I just mean like the
like
original
yeah.
ass PS1 version, or like maybe playing it digitally, but that version of that game, or like here's Silent Hill 1. I mean anything like 2 generations before, kids aren't gonna care at all. I would say even like 1 generation is kind of pushing it, but
Oh no, but you
like
could say
I mean
the same you could say the same for movies as well, right? Like there's
movie. There is a big difference between a 10-year-old movie and a 10-year-old game. Like a good example is us. Like you and I are in the same age. We kind of grew up around the NES. Like, how much Atari 2600 games have you played?
like
I'm betting,
10.
yeah, I'm betting like not a ton. I mean, I had an Atari 2600. I couldn't figure out how to hook it up to a
Well,
TV.
but see, like for me, I don't care about that stuff because most of those games are just like not playable. Like not they're
Well,
not
yeah, but like I
yeah.
think a kid today would say, what is this? Is Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past shit? They're playing
Oh, well,
Fortnite
come on.
or
No. But you cannot compare. You cannot compare Legend of Zelda Link to the Past that is completely playable, that is completely maybe not understandable to everybody because, Zelda is Zelda still. But like you can look at those graphics and you can appreciate that there's still games coming out that have those graphics. Who the hell is making games that look like the Atari 2600? Nobody. Because nobody wants games to look like that at all. So, like, I think it gets to a certain point where like people have nostalgia for like the arcade stuff, right? That whole streaming service that I just reviewed like a couple weeks ago, or
right.
well, a month ago or whatever. At this point, exists because people have nostalgia for that.
But I'm just saying,
Yeah,
like, there is an age limit for that type of stuff, and you know, I would say under 20 at the max, even 25, they're gonna go
yeah.
look at that and go like, what? Like, I'm gonna go play Fortnite, or I'm gonna go play, Call of Duty, or whatever the new game is. Like, I think game preservation is super important, but I think it's only important to like old fogies.
Well, yeah.
Mm.
But I mean, we
or,
would have said
or
the same about we would have said the same about we would say the same about music as well, right? Like everybody's
yeah,
still used to everything being digital only.
but like, I mean, there was that report a few months ago by the Video Game Historical Foundation, or I think they said like 87% of games aren't available. That's not the same as music or movies. I mean, movies is probably like a little better, but I mean, certainly
Music,
not
yeah,
music.
because there's no more record stores really.
Right. I mean,
Like
it's like all digital, or
well, and then basically records are what's keeping uh the physical music alive, like records
right.
coming back and kind of being in vogue again or
Yeah,
sort
it's
of
certainly not
niche vogue.
CDs, except
Yeah.
for Yens.
Yeah, like CDs, like as soon as everything went digital, people stopped buying. CDs became like, why the hell am I gonna have a? I have a CD thing in my car that I have not touched. I want to say in like years. It's there. I have all the discs. I have no idea if they all work because who knows sun damage and whatever.
It's
But
actually
yeah,
funny you say that. I literally bought 2 used CDs like last week. To
wow.
be fair, it was for a musician who just died, so I kind of felt I owed it to him.
Okay, I guess that's allowable.
Yeah, but yeah, like, unless it's like some really like one-off thing, like, yeah, I'm not gonna buy a CD. I'm not like Jens, I'm more buy a CD every damn day or whatever.
Yeah.
uh,
No, yeah, I don't know about buying a CD every day. That's kind of crazy.
but it sucks. But I kind of anticipated. I thought they were just gonna kind of leave it up forever, but because Sony was gonna shut theirs down, but the outcry made them stop. So I'm surprised there's not like a bigger outcry about this. But
I think it's also because a lot of the games that people care about are on the Xbox One or
Yeah, but
Xbox.
well, I mean, like I said, like a lot of these games are also on Steam, but there are
Yeah,
a
that
ton of
too.
games. There are a lot of games on this list that if it wasn't on Steam, I'd be kind of pissed. Like losing like uh, Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo Remix or you know, uh, Trials Fusion or
Right.
Rocket Riot, stuff like that, or Res. I mean, I know they just kind of re-put that out, but so
Yeah.
I can understand. Uh, I mean, you can get a lot of the stuff elsewhere if you want to, but I just don't see a ton of people playing or caring about Sea Life Safari.
Probably not. To
Yeah.
be fair, probably not. Um, like I guess if there is there's like something that you like on the list that you think.
Probably Darkstalkers. They did that collection. That was pretty good. Yeah, Darkstalkers Resurrection. That's not anywhere else. I'm pretty sure. I think it's on PS3, but that's about it. Like it never came to Steam.
Right.
Uh, or I mean, it's kind of like the big one I can think of that kind of, or like it's not listed here, so I don't know if it's like it actually is backward compatible or not. But that NBA Jam, when they re-put that out, that was kind of
Right.
cool. Uh,
I think it is. I'm pretty sure I have it on my
on your
Xbox.
yeah, it would
Yeah,
make
my
sense, but yeah, I mean, like I said, there's a lot of stuff on this thing that if it wasn't on another console or really on Steam, it'd be more problematic. But you know, everything goes away in the end.
that's true. Everything doesn't last forever. So yeah, I do remember loving Awesome Knots for a time.
Right.
That's gonna be off of here. Um, the Yu-Gi-Oh games that I don't know if those are backwards compatible or not, or
Well, I mean,
probably not.
I think everything on this list is not backward compatible. So
Yeah, not. There are some things that are. They didn't really make a distinction of what is and what isn't, but
right.
some things that I guess you would have to go find. It's more of like the live arcade
Yeah,
stuff, right? There's
XBLA.
a
Yeah, like Burnout
so
Crash.
yeah, there's going to be some cool stuff that gets lost time
Right.
that people didn't know about, right? You're going to find out about it years later. Maybe you go, oh man, this was cool, and then uh, you can't play it unless
Yeah.
you download it emulator wise. So, but all right. What are your thoughts on the 360? What memories do you have? What if are there any games you may miss? Let us know in the comments there. I hinted at it before about Netflix because Wrestlequest is about to come out, like literally within hours of this being put out there. This podcast, and also should mention, I before we go much further, I am fully aware that the Gamescom opening night live is happening the same night that we're recording this. If Jeff Keighley said that get opening night live is going to be more about the games that are coming that we already know about. It's not going to be about doing announcements and all that
Yeah.
stuff. That's more Game Awards and Summer Game Fest. So if there's anything like crazy that we really really need to talk about, or I mean, if it's a pretty good show, and it's not like gonna feel like, oh my god, we're just complaining for 2 hours. We might just do another show and have just like a reaction to that on Wednesday morning or whatever for you. So if
Yeah.
you see an extra show in the feed, that's what happened. We recorded that too. But Moving on. Netflix has started a beta for cloud gaming on your TV and on your PC. That's pretty interesting to me. You'll be able to. I don't know how this is going to work with the. I think the TV you have to do something to hook up your phone, or forgot how this works. But basically, Netflix is doing what I exactly said they needed to do the last time we talked about this.
Yeah.
Is get people to play your game somewhere besides the phone. I know the phone mobile gaming is huge and people like to play games on their phone or whatever, but I still think that in order to get the masses or whatever, you need to go to other places, like, and especially if it's all part of this service, right? Like, make people feel like, oh, I can take this game, I can start it on my phone, but now I want to play on my TV. Okay, cool. I want to play on my laptop, or I don't know if it'll work with the Steam Deck eventually, or whatever. Then play it on that, or play it on your other portable gaming device of choice. Maybe the Project Q will be able to run it. So yeah, like basically you have to use your phone as a controller if you use it on your TV right now, which that kind of sucks, but don't know if they're going to come out with a Netflix controller or they're eventually going to allow Bluetooth
I'd
connectivity
imagine
or
Bluetooth,
whatever.
because like some of these games, or like unless it's going to be a simple ass game, that you
Well,
need
the thing
more.
is that almost all their games that you can play right now are really simple. You don't have
Right.
to jump around or run, do any of that stuff you need a controller for right now. But eventually, if you want, if you want to get to that AAA Netflix game that they're making, yeah, you got to be able to add something here. You can do mouse and keyboard for your laptop, PC, whatever.
Yeah.
So that's cool for that. And I think what helps them the most, and I wonder if Microsoft is gonna now. Obviously, this has to get out of beta and actually be big. If this kind of hits like a wet fart and no one cares, then it maybe does nothing for Microsoft. But I think it is interesting that Microsoft has had their thing for a long time. They have way better games on it, and all they can do is manage to get a deal with Samsung, and I think they just got one with LG not too long ago, and that's kind of it.
Yeah.
Whereas out of the box, Netflix, I'm gonna be able to play this on my smart TV, on any of the smart TVs I have in my house because they're all Roku.
But
Yeah.
Sony doesn't want to put the Xbox app on their TV.
Well, I'm not talking about Sony. Like, I'm just saying, there's even the freaking Walmart store brand is
Yeah.
gonna have this thing. So, like, I don't know if it's because Microsoft has to run the cloud and it's more intensive, the games are more intensive or whatever. I don't know what the tech is involved in that.
I
But
imagine. I mean, they
yo,
may just not be willing to pay.
yeah, could be that too, right? Netflix has money to wanna
Well,
make this work.
Netflix is like synonymous, with smart TVs. I imagine,
Yeah.
if Microsoft went up to like LG and said, "Hey, we want to put this thing on your TV," they'd be like, "Why?" Or like, if you do, pay us some money.
Right, like I agree
Hmm.
with you. Yes. Like you're already using Netflix for something else,
Yeah.
right? Whereas Game Pass is we're trying to get people to not use the thing that they use Game Pass on and use it on the TV. And they're like, well, how do we know they're actually going to do that? So we want you to pay more money. Whereas Netflix, you're already using Netflix. Whether you're paying the extra money for the subscription or whether you got a whole new subscription for the people that I'm sorry, Mark, I couldn't keep you on the
What?
thing, but you know, uh
Oh, they finally
I,
took me
I
off.
Well, I had to because they charged me for
Users, yeah.
the
I mean,
girlfriend. So
I haven't
yeah.
signed in like 2 years, or at least 2. So,
Yeah.
Mhm.
But you had your profile on there and everything. I
Right.
had to take it off because I didn't want them to try to charge me again because I'm already paying, the extra $8 or whatever to have other family have it. So now it's like I don't want to get stuck paying like $40 for Netflix. It's
Right.
that's ridiculous. So and now Disney's gonna do the same thing, which I don't know how that's gonna work. Um if it wasn't because of the bundle, I would seriously consider just canceling everything but ESPN for me. But
I'm pretty
um
happy that they announced today that like some Disney Plus shows are coming to like Blu-ray and 4K, like home releases. Like
that's good.
woohoo! Like I think it's
Eh,
a WandaVision, Loki, and The Mandalorian. It's like yes, I'll buy those. And
yeah.
still not subscribed to your service.
And I do appreciate that they kind of like made them all kind of work together. Like if ESPN's not working for me, I can go on Hulu and watch the same show. Or also vice versa with Disney Plus. So a lot of the Disney Plus shows I can just go on Hulu and watch it on there or whatever. But it's like, yo, you're gonna increase prices, you're gonna keep removing content, you're gonna make less content for it,
Yeah.
and you're gonna there's still rumors going around about whether or not this stuff's gonna stay around for the long haul,
Right.
and that worries me. Like I don't know if we're gonna have consolidation in the streaming space or we're just gonna have a bunch of streamers die or
Why, why not both?
because like Peacock seems to be doing okay, but that's also because they have WWE and sports.
Yeah.
ESPN's gonna have its own channel, basically. And then you're gonna have Disney and Hulu, which Hulu is basically the on-demand machine. So I guess that can stick around or whatever. But Disney Plus is, I don't know, like the numbers that came out about how much money they lose on Disney Plus is insane.
I mean, it's
You
a
know,
problem of they only have basically Marvel and Star Wars. The Marvel stuff is more or less a burning trash heap at the moment. The Star Wars stuff isn't much better. I mean, it's more positive, but they don't have a Star Wars show every month, or it's not like a constant.
yeah, they have the Ahsoka show that's coming.
And that's it. Like they
Yeah.
don't have. I mean, I don't think Mandalorian season 4 is gonna happen anytime soon, especially with the strike going
Well,
on.
especially not now that they seem to be just don't want to make anything high profile for the streaming service at all now.
Yeah,
Like, uh, are
but
they just going to make more movies? Or are they just going to, I don't know what they're going to do. Are they going to try to put it on TV? Like, even TV itself is going down a bit as well. So,
yeah,
well, I think that's more because people just everything's on demand. People
yeah.
don't watch things live anymore unless it's sports.
I mean, I think it's also
So
people are just feeling burned out
yeah, from the
as well.
pandemic, like
Yeah,
people are let's go out, let's do stuff, let's so I mean, me, I went to the beach twice in the time that we've done the episode last. So and I've gone to do other stuff. So it's just like well, part of that's also because I'm in my house all the time working. So
right,
I feel this need to like let's do something.
right.
But yeah, so that's the thing. It's just it's it's something that I think you know
I thought it was funny
net,
when the CEO of Disney was like, "Oh, we hurt the Marvel brand by making all the TV shows." It's like, no, you hurt the Marvel brand when you made all the bad TV shows. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
Loki and WandaVision were good, and even that Miss Marvel show wasn't like bad. I guess I didn't watch it. I know you did, and you said you liked it, but like Moon Knight, uh, Secret Invasion, especially
Yeah.
uh, Falcon and Winter Soldier, or She-Hulk again, especially. They don't elevate
Ah.
the brand. Sure, they don't elevate that service.
Yeah, She-Hulk doesn't elevate the service. I don't think it was. I didn't hate it or whatever, but there's a lot of people that did. Um, and I don't blame them if they do. It's
Yeah.
fine. Uh, yeah, that's kind of one of those like polarizing things of just that show
I mean,
will.
I dislike it greatly, but not because of like the usual dumb incel reasons of, oh, it's a female superhero or all that stupid crap. Like, no, it's just kind of a bad show. Like,
Yeah,
I don't care if it's a male or female in the in the role.
right. Well, speaking of things that are expanding, like cloud gaming, to one Naoki Yoshida that wishes that gaming consoles actually retracted, and there was only one. I'm sorry, Mr. Yoshida, but that's probably never gonna happen. Just gonna
Well,
be
just
honest
tell
there.
Microsoft to quit trying, and then you can only get it down to 2, and then it'll be all
Yeah.
set.
Yeah, I definitely don't think Nintendo will stop making consoles, especially the way that they sell. So, Microsoft could eventually at one point if their like Game Pass gets big enough and the other stuff takes off where you can just play it on your TV and you don't have to have the console.
Right.
But what do you think about like I kind of understand him in a way, right? Like okay, for developers and it would be nice if you only had to make things on one console and you wouldn't have to have this console war BS and all
Yo,
that stuff.
man,
But
that's
yeah,
called the PC.
right. But
Mm, mm.
do you think we could ever get to that point where it's back to the 80s with Nintendo is the only home console and only home
No,
console that matters?
because it's too big of a
Yeah.
business, you
Yeah,
know,
that's exactly for me. It's like
and
this
especially for
business
like
only been getting bigger.
Sony. The PS5 is like helping prop up Sony, so you damn sure know
Yep.
they're gonna make a PS6. Mhm.
Yeah. Definitely for sure on that. I mean, they're making that PlayStation Q, which rumors are they listened. They listened. Rumors are that it could be $200, which I still think
It,
it's a little bit too pricey. But
it depends what it can do. If it really is only a streaming thing, yeah, it's too much. If it's a streaming thing and hey, it can run some Android shit, that'd be fine.
yeah, I'm still on the fence about like whether or not I
You,
really,
you don't
yeah,
have to get it, like it's not.
no,
Especially since you don't
yeah,
leave that fucking house nowadays, or like
yeah, no,
it'll
definitely
probably be
not.
fine.
Definitely not. Especially I'm in the room where the console is all the time.
Yeah,
So,
like
but yeah, at least they listened and they're not trying to put the
did
Sony price on it.
did
And
you see the video? It looked pretty fake to me about the PS5 Mini or like the Slim. There's some
yes,
guy like waving around some
yeah.
bullshit thing, and it's like, yo, that does not look slim at all. Like it looks like 10% smaller. I was like, that's not a ton. And I had that
Well,
like,
but I mean, look how big that system is. Like, do you really think they could have made it a true PS5 Slim? I mean, never.
no.
They've got to make
So
sure it cools
stop
and stuff
stop trying
too.
to do it in the first place. I mean, they have shrunk the board down quite a bit. I think they could technically, if they like really want to rearrange like the internals of the system. And that thing looked like it did have like a detachable drive, like a Blu-ray drive or
Right.
whatever. But that thing still looked. I would say it looked uglier than the PS5, and it's like holy hell, like
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I don't. Hey, somebody internally told them, hey, if we put out PS5 Slim, somebody will buy this. So
yeah.
But no, Mr. Yoshida, I understand you. I understand your plight. But as far as like including the players in that, it's not good for the players to only have one console. They need to have choice. Whether it is to just make fun,
Well,
you know.
this guy's working for Square, isn't he?
Well, yeah, he's the guy that made Final 16.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
once Sony finally buys Square, and they're like, okay, well, we can only make games for this one console now, so here we go.
he kind of I think that's part of it too, right? It's the thing of we only made it for one console and it kind of backfired on us. And I wish we only had one console so that everybody would have to buy it on there, right? Or everybody would have to own that console, sorry. And you wouldn't have to worry about, oh, well, all these people own an Xbox, all these people own a Nintendo. Everybody owns the PlayStation, so, But, hey, that's your decision.
To be fair to him, like, in the land of Japan, everyone does own a PlayStation, so, and they aren't concerned about putting Final Fantasy, even if, there's a big outcry, they're not concerned with putting Final Fantasy 16 on the Switch, because it's not even possible. So it's not like, oh, I also got to make the Final Fantasy 16 in the Xbox, even if there wasn't that the contract or whatever for console exclusivity, because there's just no demand for it in Japan at all.
Yeah.
Unless it's like Final Fantasy 13, when Microsoft just paid them a bunch of money, be like, please bring it over. It's like, okay, but here's the shit version of it. Enjoy.
Right.
I mean, I like I said, I don't think there'll ever just be like one console, unless it's like
no.
the Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft, Dreamcast 2, or
I don't think we're gonna get to that point again.
Right.
Yeah.
Or if we ever did, like, it has gone so far sideways, it's like, what happened?
The only way is if for some reason Sony and Nintendo do the combine again, and it actually goes through this time, not like before.
I think if that happened, like the next day, Microsoft would just be like, okay, we're done as a hardware company. We're just going to put out games and we'll put them out on the whatever PlayStation 6 and call it a life.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like I think if Sony and Nintendo ever decided that they were just going to join forces to have one Japanese console, I think Microsoft would just say, "Oh, you know what? We're done actually producing consoles. It will all be through the app. It'll all be about Game Pass, and that's it."
Yeah.
And then we would have one console, I guess.
Yep.
But
until Sega re-enters the market.
Sega re-enters the market. Right. That would be funny if we did see that. Talk about like cold day in hell kind of moment, right? So that being said, going from the improbable to things we now know that are happening, the Alan Wake 2 has been delayed 10 days.
Yeah.
Because they were actually honest and said there's too many games coming out in October and they don't want to basically become fodder for these other games, which I don't blame them. You have Detective Pikachu on the 6th. You have Forza Motorsport on the 10th. Super Mario Brothers Wonder and Spider-Man 2 come out 3 days before or 3 days after what Alan Wake 2 would have come out originally. And then you also got the Metal Gear Solid collection as well after that. So like at least that week after Mario and Marvel and Spider-Man, even though I'm sure those games will still be talked about by then, you get like a little bit of a fresh window.
Sure, but I guess the only game I could see like in the same Venn diagram as Alan Wake 2 is like Spider-Man. because it's like a
Well,
third person.
But that's the thing. It's not about Venn diagram. It's about not having any breathing space.
Yeah, but I
Right?
mean, to me, like Alan Wake would be like a good Halloween game. And I know this is technically
Yeah.
coming out like 3 days or 4 days before Halloween, but I'm not sure if that's like quite enough time. But it's on them. Like it's 10 days. It's not a huge deal. And like you said, at least they're points for being honest and not going like, oh, we need additional time to polish it up or whatever bullshit that some
Yeah, I
companies say.
totally appreciate that it's literally just 10 days because they wanted to move away from all these other games. Like, I love that. Thank you, everybody, for being honest on that one. I really do hope this game is great. I'm excited for Alan Wake 2, so yes. And hey, better for me because I'm sitting here wondering, am I gonna buy both Mario Wonder and Spider-Man 2 or not? So
Well, not Mario Wonder anymore.
why?
The big story that happened today.
Well, I mean, Martinet.
Yeah,
I was gonna get to that, but yeah.
yeah, that was my lead in.
Yes, yes. So Charles Martinet. Everybody kept talking about Charles Martinet is not being voiced. Is not voicing Mario in the movies. Well, he's not going to be voicing Mario in the games either any longer.
Yeah.
End of an era. So.
Yeah. To be fair to him, I mean, who knows if this is actually like him wanting to step down or if it's Nintendo. But due to 67, I have to imagine that voice is like hard on him physically. So if it is him wanting to step down,
Yeah,
that's good. If it's not him, that's kind of a bummer. But they're still paying him, so he's still gonna make out.
I think also like Nintendo looks at it and says, "Do we want him like dying as the voice of Mario? Like what's happened with Mickey and some other characters?" And it's like now you have to go abruptly into somebody else playing the same voice, whereas let's give people time to get used to whatever this new voice of Mario is going to sound like.
Yeah.
It's interesting to note that he's not doing it for Wonder. So they've already taken him off. This game we will get whatever Wahoo and whatever thing Mario says done by somebody else. No, maybe Chris Pratt's doing it and nobody's saying
No,
anything.
it'll be Ben Schwartz.
Maybe, yeah.
Well, I'm
But
joking because he's the voice of Sonic.
I know.
Yeah.
That would be interesting. Total old console war VS there. But man, think about it though. For the entire life of the character, basically 25 years, he's been Mario, and now
Yeah,
he's
because
the Mario ambassador. So
Mario started talking in '96. I mean, that's when they got him on
yeah.
there. So, well, I mean,
Hey,
technically Yoshi's Island, but that wasn't official Mario. That's baby
yeah.
Mario. So,
Mario, yeah.
fuck that. But
Agreed.
yeah, it's a
Yeah.
good end of an era. I mean, like I said, if it's his decision, that's good. If it's not his decision, that's less good. But we'll
Yeah.
see.
Yeah. Hopefully it's mutual and not, but like you said, age is a factor at some point. And
Yeah, I mean, at a certain point, some people. I mean, there's been talk for years about oh, his name, Harry Shearer on The Simpsons, like wanting to step down because I think he's 80, and that's a long time to be voicing that character. Yeah, he's 79.
right.
And I don't know if you if you've ever seen like a current era Simpsons episode, but Julie Kavner cannot do it anymore as the voice of Marge.
No, I haven't watched The Simpsons, I think in like 3 years or something like that.
Yeah,
So
I saw some musical episode they did recently, and it's like, please make her stop doing this. Like, I feel bad for her. Like she can't do it. I mean, I give her all the props for doing it for 30 years, but she's 72. Please stop.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I can't think of like another character or another actor who's been doing a character for like that long.
Yeah. Well, the trio, right? Goofy and Donald and
Yeah,
all
but
that.
they're not like they don't come out with like a new King or a new Kingdom Hearts game every 2 years or a new Disney game often enough. But yeah, I
Right.
know what you mean. I think like the same woman who's been doing Minnie Mouse forever.
Yes. Um.
Oh no, they
So
retired her in 2019.
I mean, it's so amazing though that they were able to do those characters for that long, and
Yeah,
props to Charles Martinet that you still will be the voice of Mario regardless of whether
and
somebody
honestly,
else.
like his Mario is good, but he's actually like he's actually like a pretty good voice actor when he's not doing Mario. So like I'm more interested to see what he does next, or he's done
Right.
some other stuff on occasion. So that'll be
Yeah,
cool.
are they gonna let him do other things, or is he just gonna be stuck inside Nintendo being the?
Well, like he was like one of the bad guys in that new Dragon Ball Super movie.
Oh, that's right. Yes, you're right.
So like I was pretty impressed that he did that because that does not sound like him, or it's not like woohooing all over the place or anything. So yeah, if he did more stuff like that, be like cool. Like if he wants to like
Yeah,
expand his horizon or whatever, like cool, go for it.
yeah, for sure. Hopefully, that is what inspires him to
Yeah,
go forward there. Um, yes. Well, I'm staying on the Nintendo track here. If there's ever a game franchise that needs to take a cue from Charles Martinet and take a break, it's Pokemon. At least in my view. I would love for this supposed conversations about release cadence to actually be happening and actually be put into thought and actually occur. If there is a game series right now that needs a break and time to cook, the whole saying of let them cook. Yes, let Game Freak and whoever else can be working on this game cook and do something and give them time to work with the Switch 2 or whatever the heck is going to be the next thing. So that they're not constantly coming out with a game and you get another Scarlet and Violet, or even Sword and Shield had issues. You already have the DLC coming out this month. You have Detective Pikachu, which I know that's a different studio and all that stuff. But do you agree with me, or do you think that they should just do the Call of Duty thing and just be like, okay, we have like 3 studios working on Pokemon?
I mean, I
Yeah.
guess a question would be, see, I don't know Pokemon really at all. Like, how often would you want a new game to come out?
I think it
And
just depends. Like like a main game, I would be fine if it skips a year. I'd be
so
fine if we get a main game like every
let
2 years or
so
something.
okay, let's say 2 years for like Pokemon. Like let's just say Red and Blue as the example. Wasn't that Arceus game like pretty different?
Well, yes, like okay, I'm fine if they're gonna do spin-offs, but whole nother company working on them. Like, the Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Pearl, whatever was done by Ilka, which is the same people that did One Piece Odyssey and all that stuff. Like that's fine. If you're gonna have a whole different company that's not Game Freak working on the game, then that I'm good with that. But I don't need Game Freak working on Arceus, Scarlet and Violet, the next thing that's coming out already, the DLC. Like, yo, give them a break. Let them pause. Like, I know that you have some of that studio working on some other games that they announced projects for, or whatever, but it's like that series has too many games coming out all the time like, you know, cool if you want to come out with some, and they have the games that continue to exist, like Unite, and now they have the Pokemon Sleep thing, the cafe thing, Pokemon Masters, the trading card game that they, in that direct that they just had not so long ago, they announced the stuff for that. Like, yo, you have a lot of Pokemon stuff happening. You have the Detective Pikachu 2 movie. You have the anime that just started fresh again. Like, yo, I don't know, point people towards that. Like, just, I would really love if they take a moment like Ubisoft did with Assassin's Creed. Now they're going backwards. But I would love for them to say, yo, let's take a year off. Now, again, the problem is that Nintendo isn't the only ones that have a say in this, right? Pokemon Company also has a say. Game Freak itself and whatever. They all have to kind of come to a conclusion that this is what's best. But yeah, I hope that's
I
what's
think
being
I
talked
think
about.
Nintendo's response, or everyone's response would be, "Yo, this is the third most valuable video game franchise in the world. Fuck taking a break." Like,
Okay, but
I
like
hate to
that's,
s- I mean, it's more profitable than Call of Duty and GTA. They will never take a break, and I'm not saying they shouldn't. Like, I fully agree with you. Like, but no.
yeah,
Unfortunately, I mean, it's kind of like that. It's the same type of the burnout that Yuke's got from the WWE games.
right. And I do
Or
feel like Game Freak is getting into that. That's why they make other games so that they don't get burned
wasn't
out.
there some story recently about how Game Freak is like horrible to work at?
I'm
Like, it
Yeah,
was
I
like
don't know about that,
I think it was like
but
some it was like Japanese glass door or something. There were some like employees were bitching about how it's like not compared to like other Japanese developers, it's like incredibly demoralizing and like
yeah.
uh hard to stay at. And it's like, yo, if the Japanese people are saying this, you might got a problem because they are more used to this shit than Americans would be.
Yeah, that is an issue. That is definitely an issue. If you are having the Japanese folks saying that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised also if they just take the Call of Duty approach and just say, "Oh, we're just gonna have different teams work on Pokemon."
Yeah, or
Yeah,
take the I mean, Forza did the same thing kind of with Turn 10 and
Playground,
the Horizon team, forget their name, but
Playground.
yeah, that's what I was saying. It's like, yeah, I would say have a mainline Pokemon or two Pokemon games every year because they always do like the dual system because they still
Right.
think that's worthwhile and it's not. Uh, and then have like Arceus 2 or some vastly different, or not vastly, but some different enough thing, as the other game.
Right. Yeah. Is that? I mean, that's also what's important is having a.
But like, didn't like Arceus and the two Pokemon games come out like last year within like
Yes.
9 months or something? It's like,
Right. Yeah.
uh,
One came out in January. The one came out in like November.
yeah,
And Arceus actually ran really well, and then Pokemon Violet, which obviously is a more expansive game and everything, just ran like the actual dog turd.
right,
So that's part of it too. Is they saw the memes, right? They're not stupid. They saw the stuff, right?
yeah.
So, um, yeah, for me, I just really hope they do. So, just tying these two things together because they're both kind of short and they're both about games like releasing. Like a Dragon Gaiden, the man who erased his name, the one that has this is the story about Kiryu while Like a Dragon was happening, is going to have a demo for Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, aka Like a Dragon 8. And then also DC Universe Online is going to be coming to PS5 and the series consoles.
I saw your notes on this about the Like a Dragon thing, and I was blown away when they said like, oh, what is it? About how it's like a good way to get into Kiryu's story. Provide the best insight into the personality of Kiryu. It's like,
Yeah.
are you guys high? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like that he is as a singular character, I think Kiryu is like number one as far as long running characters.
Yeah.
Like you can't encapsulate a guy who's been in 8 other Yakuza games as the main character and been in 9, I guess, if you want to count like a dragon.
I think what they're trying to say is this is perhaps like the best version of Kiryu, maybe is what they're trying to say. Like, not that you're going to understand Kiryu.
Yeah.
If you only play this game, I think it's more of like, if you play the other games, I think you're really going to appreciate the Kiryu that you're going to get in this game.
I just made me think of like when EA was trying to say like, oh, Mass Effect 3 is a good jumping on point into the franchise. It's like, huh? Like,
right?
Really?
I guess.
No, because it's the third game in a trilogy, or like, I don't know. It's also weird that DC Universe Online is coming to current consoles.
Right.
How I question how profitable or how popular the game still is, because it's 12 years old. That's old. I mean,
yes.
And MMOs do last a while, but it's not like DC is in the current healthiest spot anymore. And like you don't see Final Fantasy 11 coming to PS5. It'd be funny if it did, but you don't see it happening at the moment.
It's crazy that they still are supporting that. Like, they are not it's not getting the big to do like 14 is.
Right.
But they still support that thing.
Yeah. I think it still does like well enough for them where they can make small content, but it's not like, oh, we got who's the Final Fantasy composer?
Uematsu.
Yeah, it's not like he created a whole new suite of Final Fantasy 11 music, or you're this big CGI movie about Final Fantasy 11, the story of that and stuff like that, like it's I don't think it's in like just passive or routine mode yet, but it's probably pretty close compared to Final Fantasy 14 at least.
Yes, exactly. Well, I mean, that's the thing. It's just like 14 is like what they wanted the MMO to be. So
Right.
and then also, hey, that's coming to Xbox also.
Yeah.
So many years after the fact.
It's nice to see that guy got his wish, but having only one console, huh?
Right. Interesting that they made try to make a big deal out about it. Like Phil Spencer was there at Tokyo Game Show, and they kind of sort of made a promise about like trying to put more games on Xbox. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
I don't know if that means all of them are going to have to be on Game Pass or something, but that also means Microsoft's going to have to put out a bunch of money. So we'll see. They did also like extend the announcement of that also meant that they were not only they announced the new expansion Dawn Trail, I think it is. They extended the the free trial to like the next expansion. So it's like not Rome
Yeah,
Reborn, but it's like Shadowbringer.
I think they
Or
do that because it's an easier way to
yeah.
get new players in or up to speed. It makes sense. I think WoW does the same thing, where it's like if you want to start playing WoW now, you get probably up to like Legion, maybe even like the next one.
Yes. Oh, I mean,
'Cause
yeah, isn't that how it always was? Like you.
I mean, not initially, but yeah, now it is because it's like, yeah, you don't want to like let's say you just got into WoW now. It's like, okay, WoW is $30. Now I have to buy 9 expansions, each at $20 to $30 as well. Like that ain't gonna fucking happen.
Yeah. Oh man, I forgot to do it this week. But okay, so next week we are going to start having a TikTok uh of the show, so I can just put it on TikTok. I forgot to do that this week. I had that in my head the whole week, and then I forgot. But oh well. Gotta try to embrace the social media that is the thing. And I was like, why are you not on TikTok? I'm like, do you know how long it takes me to edit the audio?
Because I have a brain. It's like because I have a brain.
Well, there's a lot of TikTok is just like it's the new it's what Twitter was, or excuse me, X. How the stupidity of that too.
Yeah.
That dude, I swear, could not just get any more dumber by the day.
Yep.
But we're not here to talk about that. Well, I guess speaking about big corporations, Apple and Tetris, the Tetris Company, are getting sued by the author and journalist Dan Ackerman because he released a book, The Tetris Effect, the game that hypnotized the world in 2016. And he says that the movie's plot is basically taken from the book almost, pretty much very closely.
I mean,
And especially the part where they like make it about the Cold War and all that other stuff. That's a lot of the story is true, but
yeah,
they
I was
also
gonna say like
illustrate it. Yeah,
that'd be like me, like if you made a World War II movie and me suing you because I wrote a book about it. It's like that
right. But they
event.
took his stuff about you know the making it about the Cold War and that like Russia was really going to arrest him and all that other stuff and put it in the movie. So like
But
unless
unless, well, you go on.
no, unless they're going to say that um you know unless they're gonna say that they made that up themselves, but like his story, what he says kind of seems plausible about how he sent them an early copy of the book. They told him, no, we don't want you to use anything, or we don't want to work with you
Yeah.
on using Tetris or whatever. And then, you know, uh, and
I
then
mean,
all of a sudden there's a movie being made. So like, that kind of.
but
What?
it's
Why are you
all
saying you don't believe it?
no. I believe it to an extent, but I mean, he's interviewing. Uh, what's his name? Uh, Hank Rogers,
Yeah,
and then like those events happen to him, or they might be interviewing. I mean, he might be interviewing like old USSR soldiers or finding documents based on that. What's to say that like the Tetris movie screenwriters didn't do the same thing? Because it's like how they're going to do competing movies based on Elizabeth Holmes, and
yeah.
the first one came out, the Amanda Seyfield one came out, and then the Margot Robbie one was like, no, we're gonna stop doing that now, or
Yeah.
I think it was no, it was not Margot Robbie, Jennifer Lawrence. She was gonna do it, but
Oh,
it's like
okay.
no, we're gonna stop because they already did it. I just think it's odd that I'm sure. Well, you got to ask if they even like looked at the book because they may not have, for all we know. But because the events actually happened, let's assume that the Tetris movie writers also interviewed Hank Rogers and did at least the basics of journalism or research. That they
Well,
would
I'm
the same.
assuming that they did
They
because,
they would have gotten a lot of the same
yeah,
stories from him and like Alexei Pajitnov and stuff like that. So
right. Did you like the movie? I
I
don't
didn't
remember if
see
we
it.
ever
I don't
talked
think
about
I've
the
seen it.
movie.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
okay.
didn't watch it. I mean, I can always just grab it, I guess. But
I liked it. It's actually funny because a friend of mine that's not a big gamer, but they obviously know what Tetris is. Who doesn't?
yeah,
And obviously know what Nintendo is and all that stuff. So like they hated it at first. They were bored by it, and then they watched it again. I guess when they weren't half asleep, and they actually liked it a lot. So
yeah, that
um,
helps.
I think critics were kind of like mixed on it, if I remember right. Um, you know, but
It has
yeah,
82% on Rotten Tomatoes.
okay, that's good.
Uh,
I so yeah. I don't know if you had anything else that you
one thing
really.
I forgot to mention. I played that Lies of P demo.
Oh
It's all
yeah,
right.
I like the Liza P demo.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
Pinocchio, Dark Souls, but I have to look
mhm.
at the game. I thought it was interesting. Uh, yeah,
Yeah, it took me a bit to. I had to fight that first like mini boss a couple times because of the
yeah.
camera.
I didn't beat the main the big boss of that thing. I died like the first time, but then the second time I beat him. Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, it seemed to hold up pretty well, and I may give it a shot at some point. I also think it's funny that Armored Core 6 is hitting this week, and
Yep.
a lot of people are going to be in for a fucking world of hurt when that game comes out.
Yes. People need to understand that it's nothing like Dark Souls.
Yeah, I told even Jens is excited for it because it's from Software, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Have you played those games before?" He was like, "No,"
Yeah,
and
it's much more like an action mission
no.
based game. Well, it's a mission based like game that
Well, it was funny
uh
because one of Jens's complaints about the world boss fight in Diablo 4 is you only had 15 minutes to beat it,
yeah.
and he was like, "Oh, I hate games that give you a timer, like a boss timer, a mission timer."
Well,
And I was like, "Yo, dog, that is what that is what Armored Core is all about."
yeah, it's a mission based game.
Yeah,
So
I've seen some footage of it, or they've shown some gameplay of it, and they
yeah,
don't have timers in it, but believe me, that game's gonna have some
yeah, it's
some
good.
timer somewhere, and it's gonna be.
The gameplay part looked fun as well that
It
I
looked a lot
saw.
more fluid than like the past
Yes.
games certainly did.
That's what I was
Uh,
trying to make a point at. It's not action, but it looks more like they definitely tried to add more action into
yeah,
it.
I mean, I played the first game, the 1997 one. That's like my frame of reference. So,
Right.
I mean,
Well,
and
it
I was
go
gonna
ahead,
say, I know
sorry.
he's getting it, and I'm like, good luck.
Yeah, I mean, like that gave me a great segue to just go ahead and get into the games that are coming out this week,
Yep.
so we can end the show here. Basically, I totally forgot. Immortals of Venom is coming out
Yeah,
today.
the reviews just hit for that, and they're something.
Yep, exactly. That's expected. That's why I said when I saw it, I was like, "Are you kind of interested in this?" Because the last thing I saw of it made me be like, "Yep, no."
Yeah.
Smurfs kart
Finally.
racing. That's exactly what we needed. That's the only one left. Smurfs needed to have their own kart racer. Wrestlequest, which we talked about on the show, that's coming out on everything, including again free on Netflix if you have the subscription. A cool puzzle platformer called Mirrored Souls coming out on everything as well on the 23rd. Blasphemous 2, which is getting, I guess, decent reviews, is coming out on everything that's current on the 24th. Another one of those Shumps, Hellfire, and Fire Shark are also coming. Last Eidolons is coming to current consoles on the 24th, which people should check that out. It's a decent like strategy RPG game. And of course, Armored Core 6, the big game of this week, Fires of Rubicon, is coming to everything but Switch. So get ready for that. And yes, Samba de Amigo, Party Central is also coming by the time we do the show next week. So get ready, folks.
Yeah. I'll be curious for those Armored Core reviews. Let's say that.
They look like they're going to be good. People kind of seem to be excited for that, except for that one guy that was bitching about graphics for some stupid reason.
Yeah.
Screw you, dude. Anyway, that's it for the show this week. Thank you for listening or watching, whichever you did. If you watched live and commented, appreciate you as well. Thank you so much. You can always subscribe on the YouTube channel, follow us, ring the bell. So whenever there's an episode, you get it. Obviously, if you ring the bell, you get the other stuff that we do as well. You also get Yen's and Randy's chapter select too. I forgot to mention at the beginning. Along with the other, main shows. You get Metal Hammer of Doom as well. You get the TV party tonight. So they did a review of Secret Invasion not recently, like last week as well. So if you want to hear a review of Secret Invasion, don't have to watch the show, because you can watch that instead. You can also listen with your ears on podcasts. Yes, we're still there. You just got to go find all of the shows individually. They decided that no, the network feed is no more. But you can go search Video Games to the Max on any podcast provider of your choice. Leave us a review on there if you'd like, and that will let us know what you think, and it would help us move up the rankings, which always is good, because that means we can keep doing this show and all that jazz. So until next week, everybody, or maybe perhaps tomorrow, depending on this opening live, how that goes. We'll see you later, everybody. Bye-bye.